Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Can I start? Okay. So mine was
Turn off sound.
yeah. Test 1, 2. Yeah. Okay. So mine was discussing a range of control systems. So first of all, oh, why is it not letting me? Sorry. First of all, what are control systems? So this is the IB definition for a control system. So it's a device or set of devices which manage, command, and direct or regulates the behavior of other device systems. And you can see here on the left side, this is the IPO model, which is typically what the control systems use. So the input, process, and output. And input is usually some sort of sensor. The process is usually a microprocessor or CPU, and the output is an actuator. So in the input, the sensors, what they do is they capture data, and then they translate it into a digital form so that it can be processed through an analog. And then the process is usually made by a CPU or a microprocessor. And based on the input received, it makes a decision. So basically, if it reaches, usually it's through these thresholds, which means that if a certain threshold is reached, then the process will take action through the output. So for example, in the heating system, if it reaches in air conditioner system, I guess, if it reaches the desired temperature, which is the threshold, it will stop heating up the room through the actuator, which is also known as the output, so which is the mechanism through which the control system takes action. This is in more details. This is just an example of one control system, one of the many control systems that we need to know. So the heating system. So the input would be sensors that detect the temperature of the surroundings, and then these sensors, they convert the data into a digital format so that it can be interpreted by the CPU or microprocessor. So in the IPO model, the process, and then, as I said before, if it reaches a certain threshold or is above or below a certain threshold, it sends a signal to the actuator, and if it's obviously above, it'll turn on, and if it's below, it'll turn off. Other way around. Yeah, sorry. So these are all of the examples that we need to know for IB, or I think, right, sir? At least that's what it said. And then, so there's two types, which is open and closed loop. So the open loop is quite straightforward, like we talked before. It's just the IPO model. So you get an input, process, and output. But the closed loop, there's an input, and then there's disturbances, which is basically signal. It represents unwanted inputs, which might affect the output. And this is also a feedback loop, which means that the output that will come out will then be used as the input once again, and then so on. It'll circle back, I guess, and be used as an input. And yeah, the disturbances, they can cause an increase in system error. So we have to take that into account. But yeah, that's basically my section done.